In tonight's 7 Up Front segment, we're taking a closer look at where the country is heading now that we have a new president in the White House. It's been an historic day as Kamala Harris took the oath as the first woman of color to be vice president. Today's inauguration occurring on the steps of the U.S. Capitol that 2 weeks ago was overrun with protesters attempting to threaten our democracy. Joining me tonight to discuss this important transition of power, this American tradition, is Dave Dulio, professor of political science at Oakland University. Professor, thanks for being there tonight.
It's my pleasure, Dave.
Hey, let's begin with the call for unity from President Biden in his inaugural address today. He called for an end to the uncivil war of our politics and outlined the challenges ahead. What did you think of the speech, first off, and will it help the division that exists in this country today?
Sure. You know, while the speech didn't have a line in it that is likely to be remembered 20 or 50 years from now, it was a good speech. It was full of lofty rhetoric, and I think that was appropriate for the occasion. And the message of unity is a really good fit for the times in which we're living. The proof will be in the pudding, though, right? The unity will come not from words, but from actions, and actions in a bipartisan manner from both Democrats and Republicans in the months and years ahead.
Well, and let's talk about that governing issue. On day one, President Biden is reversing some of President Trump's decisions, as we heard, through executive orders. Democrats now control the U.S. Senate and House. Will this unity that President Biden wants extend across party lines in Congress?
Well, it's going to have to if things are going to get done on any grand scale. Unless there are major changes in the way the U.S. Senate does its business, and those are still on the table. But unless those rules changes that would, for lack of a better term, do away with a tradition of the legislative filibuster, which for the 22nd answer is that, right, it means that 60 votes are needed to do anything in the U.S. Senate. Unless that rule is thrown out the window, it's going to take Republicans and Democrats compromising on important issues in order to get something done.
Well, we can be hopeful about that, but as you say, time will tell, right?
Absolutely. And we'll see. I think the first few days and even weeks of the Biden administration, not even into the 100 days, will tell us a lot about how the next 2 or 4 years are going to go.
President Trump didn't stick around, of course, but Vice President Pence was there for the inauguration. How important was that for tradition and transition, and for a Republican Party maybe going forward that's no longer going to be dominated by Donald Trump?
Well, I think it was important to have at least a bit of a handoff from the Trump administration to the Biden administration. And as for Donald Trump not being around the GOP, I wouldn't bet on that. I think he's going to be around in one way or another.
All right, President Biden expressed the need to be bold in the face of our challenges, starting with the pandemic. And doesn't it give the new administration a chance to show right out of the gate that it can fix what hasn't worked with the distribution of vaccines, for instance?
I think the president is counting on that. I also think that you'll see some quick action on another COVID-19 relief package from the federal government. And that, that's one opportunity right out of the gate where they might be able to find some Republican partners, some Republicans who want to do some of the same things in terms of another relief package. That would be a great way to start the Biden administration and a relationship with Republicans on Capitol Hill.
And finally, maybe a thought on the pride and joy many rightfully felt today seeing Kamala Harris sworn in as vice president, first woman of color to serve in that office. Does this go way beyond just symbolism?
Oh, I think it does. I think you're going to see Vice President Harris do a lot of things differently than her predecessors. I think you're going to see different issue focus, and not everybody's going to like that. But elections have consequences, and we're going to see that not only with President Biden, but the entire Biden administration.
Going to be fascinating watching the weeks and months ahead. Professor Dave Dulio, Oakland University, as always, we thank you for your input and for joining us tonight.
It's my pleasure.